Gang, it's the Prep Rebel here. I'm going to take you on a little garden tour. Okay, today is May 7th, and it's about 8 o'clock in the morning, I think, somewhere around there. So, we'll start off here. As you can see with these, I've got the potatoes in this one starting to get a little green on the eyes, and these Yukon Golds are starting to get a little green on the tips as well, starting to bush out in flowers. And I've got some greenery coming here in this Yukon Gold as well, there and over here. All right, now the grow bags I planted last, but this is kind of impressive. So we'll start down at the 6-foot bed that I planted first. Okay, so as you can see, I've got scallions, spaghetti squash, 2 rows of sweet corn, and 2 rows of peas. And they're interspersed in between. So let's start with the scallions. These are all pretty much coming up now, with the exception of this one here. But there's a couple that are slow. But all of this front row is scallions. The next row is spaghetti squash, and they're a little slower. That's this second line here, not this one here, dead center. But the nice thing to see here is this: that spaghetti squash and that spaghetti squash is coming up. And then if you go to the next row, that's pretty much most of my corn is coming up. So there's 1 that hasn't come up yet on this line, 2 that haven't come up yet on this line. The next row behind that is sweet peas, or peas. They're coming up. And then another row of corn on the second, and the second from the back. They're starting to come up. You can see the shoots are starting to come. Right? And like I said, this bed was planted first. So that back row is peas again. So this is the first bed. This is basically what I'm going to call the Three Sisters bed, with the exception of the scallions. Back here, more Pontiac red potatoes. They're starting to green up. The russets are starting to pop out here in this bed. And then these are onions, bunching onions. More russets here coming up. And I don't have any flowers showing up yet on these, but my cabbages are there. There's 2 there. No flowers there yet. Cabbage, more scallions coming up here. And these are chives and marigolds in that one. Now, the second bed that I planted is the first 4-foot bed. So I've got sunflowers coming up here. So I've got 4 sunflowers, 1 on each corner. This one's coming up, and the one on the other corner here is coming up. The one at the back there was planted last, and that one was planted second last. Now, the next thing here, which is really neat to see, is the pickling cucumbers. They're starting to come up. I haven't got any lettuce showing yet. But look at this. These are all my carrots. I have 3 rows of carrots. All right, and they're starting to show up. Once they get up a little bit bigger and a little bit more thick, then I'll have to thin those out. Radishes here. I've got 2 rows of radishes. And my regular cucumbers here next to the trellis. At the back, you'll see my bush beans, my bush beans are starting to come up. So this garden's coming along quite nicely. The third garden is my tomato beds with my basil. So these basils are coming up pretty good. These tomatoes are starting to come along on this side. I have to do a little bit of trimming and a little bit of leaf maintenance there. And then at the back I've got parsley and then dill and my cayenne peppers. In between, by the next trellis side here, is my beefsteak tomatoes and the Super Fantastic, as well as the little Napoli and the Tidy Treats. Now both of the Tidy Treats and the Napoli are starting to flower. That's pretty cool. And then I've got my other row of basil here in nest bed. So that's something I'm really happy about. So that's the first 3 beds, and then this bed is my last bed that I planted. Now I've got no nasturtium showing yet on this line, but my yellow zucchini there is coming along pretty good. Again, I'm going to have to do a little bit of leaf maintenance there. And here is my turnips, and they're starting to come up. So I'm happy with that. All right. And then I have my cabbage, again, some more cabbage in this bed. And then this side here, I don't see any zucchini showing up yet. But it's probably not hot enough for them yet. But here is where I'm really happy, because these marigolds are starting to show. All right. So I'm happy with that, because the marigolds, they'll bring in some pollinators and keep some of the bugs away. Same with the nasturtiums when they come up. No, I'm really happy about that. So this garden is coming along pretty good. And then in my big potato bed down below here, I have russets starting to come up in this row. And then the center row is Yukon Gold. I'm not seeing any there yet, but I am seeing some of the red Pontiacs right there and right there. There should be a lot more plants coming up as it warms up a little bit more, but this livestock trough is working quite well as a garden bed, so it's coming along. And that's my garden. So I'm happy. It's growing. Prep Rebel out.